You'll know the truth when you find it. It'll come to you like something you've known before, rather than something you're learning for the first time. He used to think that he felt too deeply, music, light, people, because the world taught him that sensitivity was dangerous. Women who wanted ownership more than connection turned their disappointment into contempt, and little by little he learned to protect himself by dimming his flame. He became composed, careful, and hard to read, safe but muted. And in shutting down that softer, empathic current, the part of him that could feel everything so acutely, he began to create and choose from steadiness rather than pure instinct, often shaping his work within the boundaries of what fit his brand. There were pieces he longed to make, more personal, more intimate, but they lived just outside the lines of what the world expected from him. At times he felt slightly detached, as though observing his art from the sidelines instead of living fully inside it. And although her life was steady and in order, she had grown distant from her own creative pulse, cut off from the part of herself that once moved freely with inspiration, the quiet result of years spent in a practical world, far from art. Recognizing that same spark still alive in someone else felt like a breath of fresh air, a small reminder of how it used to feel to create for the joy of it. Then he met her, a woman whose eyes carried both depth and wildness. Something alive and unguarded flickered there, a pulse that spoke of storms survived and the fire that still lived beneath the ash. Even after everything, she hadn't closed her heart. When they met, it struck like recognition wrapped in fire, the kind that sears and soothes in the same instant. A current moved through them, melting the ice around places long frozen. It wasn't chaos or the kind of love that tries to control the outcome, just that impossible balance where instinct and understanding breathed the same air. She had lived so long in the sun's rhythm, planning, providing, making things happen, that she'd almost forgotten her own nature was lunar. He had become protective of his light. Years of being admired, misunderstood, and sometimes envied had taught him how easily magnetism could draw both warmth and shadow. So they met in reverse, the moon pretending to be the sun afraid to burn. Yet beneath that armor, their natural rhythm began to remember itself, a slow, quiet thaw of everything creative, emotional, and alive that had waited just beneath the surface. The fire between them was desire, but not the kind of fire that destroys. He'd feared the kind that burns everything down, the sleepless hunger that consumes. This was different. This was the kind of fire that refines. It didn't take from him, it restored him. It moved through both of them, awakening what had gone quiet. Her trust, his tenderness, their belief in something divine and true. Sometimes he wondered if he even knew how to be loved in a way that didn't demand performance. Affection had always arrived with conditions. Admiration for the stage version of him, applause for the light he cast, not for the quiet behind it. So when he felt her seeing past the surface, his first instinct was to retreat. What if she saw the parts of him that were uncertain, still rebuilding? What if the connection asked for a softness he'd learned to guard? But she didn't rush toward him or away from him. She simply stayed present. And in that stillness, something inside him began to steady. He realized he wasn't being asked to prove anything, to burn brighter, to fix, to impress. Only to be. That was the unfamiliar kind of safety that both terrified and healed him. And as their breathing steadied, he understood. He wasn't losing control, he was remembering himself. Not learning something new, but returning to a truth he'd always known. "You'll know the truth when you find it," she'd said. "It'll come to you like something you've known before." And when their eyes met again, he finally understood what that meant. The truth had never left them. It had only been waiting for enough warmth and steadiness to move again. For a structure strong enough to hold the current without either one losing themselves. A rhythm they could both lean into, where her openness didn't cost her safety and his freedom didn't cost him peace. Here the nervous systems exhaled. The fire stayed lit, not as threat, but as life. And what they built from that balance didn't replace what was already working. It multiplied it, turning what was steady into something beautiful, alive, and whole.